Welcome to the Retrospect podcast, a show where a couple of guys come together from different walks of life and discuss a topic from their generation's perspective. My name is Ian, and as always, I'm joined by Stoney.
Hello.
So what we got going on today?
How are you, man?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I'm, as we talked about in the last episode, spinning plates. I'm still keeping them going.
How's that going? Is it as many plates yet, or have a couple of them fallen off, or what?
I'm not going to lie. I got out of one of the meetings, and I got like bombarded by 3 different people, like pulling me in different directions, whatever. Just like asking simple questions, like, "Oh, are you going to be at the thing Saturday?" I was like, "Oh, yeah." And then they're like, "Okay," and then I need you to come talk to me for a minute. I was like, "Okay, yeah, I'll do that." I was like, "Oh, but first, come talk to me first because I'm only going to be here for 10 minutes." I'm like, "Oh, yeah." I was like, "Oh man." But everything's going fine.
That's good.
Between all that,
Your brother feeling better?
He is. He's going back to.
I know that was on your heart pretty good.
Yeah. Well, yeah. He's doing a lot better. He's going to medical school. So obviously, he's taking some time off work and going to focus on that because it's obviously expensive and important.
Really?
Yeah. So he's but the thing is, again, now that he has time off of work, he's feeling better. He's like, well, I mean, let's use this time wisely, and I gotta start using it. So, but anyways, yeah, that's kind of
good.
It's been good.
Mm-hmm.
So what we're going to talk about today.
Well, I got this new lawnmower.
Okay.
And before it could take, using a push mower, take like, an hour and a half to cut the grass.
Right.
Now it takes me 8 minutes.
Oh, really?
So it made me think about, what in our lives have made our lives easier and more, what's convenient to us now? I thought that would be kind of interesting to talk about.
Yeah, man. Oh, wait, I feel like the low hanging fruit, the easy one is technology in a lot of ways.
Sure.
Cell phones and computers of all varieties.
But see, when I was a kid, my dad would never buy anything bigger than a 15-inch Murray lawnmower. No self-propelled. They didn't have all of that yet. The wheels were like 2.5, 3 inches big.
Little plastic.
Yes, plastic wheels. And we had a 3/4 acre lawn.
Oh, okay.
Good Lord, it could take you hours.
I believe it.
And, now I have my dream machine.
Yeah.
The big X mark, 52-inch. And you bzz, bzz. I put some mulching blades on it, so now you don't even have to rake any leaves or anything.
Gosh.
So it's things like that, mulching blades, all of this convenient stuff, size, has made our lives easier.
Of course.
I remember back in that time, you didn't have edgers.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you're right.
You had this little wheeled scissor thing that you had to do it, and it could take, now you got edgers. Now you got weed eaters. Now you have all of this stuff that's really helped us and made life a little bit easier.
Right. I think it's a convenience, but it also, one word that I've heard in like the technology space is frictionless.
Okay.
Is how can we make it's one of those buzzwords you hear in corporate lingo. How can we make this frictionless, or as frictionless as possible? And it makes me think of that kind of stuff. It's like, where is that rub of things where it's like, it makes you think I could do this, but what could I buy or what could I do or get that could make it just that little bit easier?
A little bit easier.
To not procrastinate. Because my thing is, for me, if I'm being candid and honest, is if it is a little inconvenient and kind of frustrating or like tedious to do, it's like the breeding ground for procrastination for me.
Really?
I just will be like, I'll just get to it later. Because I'm like, oh, it's going to involve this or it's going to do this. Even with like some video editing stuff, there's like certain little things that haven't quite like optimized to like make it really easy to do. So it's a little.
Do you stay in the know, so to speak, on maybe a new program or a new item for your computer or the podcast stuff to make it a little bit easier?
Probably in certain aspects, but not nearly as much as I think some people do, where they really are like people. I think I know of friends of mine that like live their life by like, how would they word it? is scheduling themselves well, like time management of making every minute count in work and in their personal life.
Okay.
And I'm jealous in some of that regard because I need to do better at that. And they have like you said, they have programs. They try new things. They try time apps or calendars or
time app.
Yeah.
Okay,
well,
I'm not going to go that far.
Well,
that's too much for me.
But it's almost like it's like an alarm,
right?
Where they have like things scheduled out where it's like I'm going to work for 3-4 hours at this section to do this. I'm going to work for 3 hours on this, and then of course I'm going to leave the office and I have like this amount of time for leisure. But it's like some of it I think is a little too much, but I think it makes their life better in some ways. And for me, I think that I could benefit from some of that, but I think I'm a little too chaotic for that sometimes.
Yeah, right? Yeah, I couldn't do that. That would just drive me crazy.
Right. But with that, I like you're saying before, like I in my own personal life, doing a lot of video editing stuff or creative stuff, templates is my
okay.
So I will, for convenience sake, I like to organize my my computer, like the files on my computer, like I would my normal life. I have things where it's supposed to go. I know where it is, and I have it all categorized or whatever. And I do that for my computer as well. And with like video editing, having like a pre-made project that I can just open and throw stuff into and then start working makes it so easy for me.
Well, it's funny you said that. At work, somebody came and sat down at my desk, and I was showing them something on there.
Yeah.
I got an email.
Okay.
And so I pulled up my emails, and I have 16 emails in the main section.
Right.
And they were like, "Where's all your emails?"
I was like, "Well,
what are you talking about? I have a list. I have, almost
sort them out or whatever.
8,000 emails."
Right.
Well, yeah, but where are they? I see 16. And I says, "Well, those are the ones I want."
Right.
And I'm keeping them around me to remind me of something. But where are they? And then I click the little side button, boom, and I have a list of everything, every vendor, every person that I deal with, completed. Somebody sends me an email. I don't want to necessarily put it in their file. I can put it in a completed file or something miscellaneous.
Anything.
BS.
Right.
And they're like, "Oh my God, that is so smart."
All right.
And I says, "Well, why don't you do that?" I said, and they said, "Because I have 2,500 emails in my main section." I'm like, that would drive me crazy.
Yes, especially if you have no idea what goes where or what you've answered.
I said, make it easy.
Yeah.
I said, make it easy on yourself. Stay in the main thing.
Yeah.
And then have a name of somebody and make a file.
Right.
And then go to the search bar and type their name in, and then click the button, and it'll list all of them and say, "Move to this file."
One thing that I do as well, I do that probably not as efficient as you're doing it, but for me, I have maybe once every couple of months, I will do like a big clean of my inbox of like old emails or like for instance, like events that I've already done that like there's no archivable thing, like if it's like footage or whatever. If it's just like a text email, like we're changing plans for this event or we're doing this, or like conversational stuff I really don't need anything for, like that kind of stuff, I'll go through and like mass delete a lot of stuff.
Right.
Clean it all out. Stuff that's like, like I said, maybe once a quarter or something, like really clean it all out, get all the stuff that's important, and then like organize it where it goes, or, figure out that kind of system. And that's how I feel. Like I feel better. Sometimes it gets a little out of hand, but I know myself, and it's like there's going to be one like a random Tuesday, and I'm going to sit down and go, okay, now's the day where I'm going to like
that would
really
drive me nuts.
But like it never gets to like 2,500.
Right.
We're talking like a couple hundred where it's doable,
manageable
for me. Yeah, for me, where I can like, because a lot of times, just like you do, I'm assuming, as things are happening, I will sort them properly, so it never gets to that point
then
where
and there.
You're
every day. It's like when I had the stroke.
Right.
Okay, and I came back. They wouldn't even let me take my computer home.
Really?
Yes, they said they support. I work for such a supportive place. They were like, you need to take care of you first. We'll figure it out.
Okay.
But when I got to my emails,
uh-oh.
I sat down for the first day, and a couple of people, they know, that I like my emails and things like, everything in a place. I'm not OCD, but I figure it's easier to work if you can find stuff.
Yeah.
You can save yourself some of those moments, that time management.
Right.
And so one of the higher ups came up and said, you just do your emails for a couple of days. You just don't worry about moving around, because when I came back from the stroke, I thought I was 100%. I wasn't.
Right.
But I didn't show it.
Of course.
They knew. Yeah. And they just said, and so that's what I did for 3
Ease
days.
Into it.
I went through all those emails going, oh my God. That drove me nuts.
I can imagine. The same thing for me in like a creative space, thinking about convenience and thinking about ease of access, like you were saying, for making music and making art in some capacity. I had the same mentor that I've talked about on this podcast before. He told me, if you make your, I'm going to make it neutral, but it was my bass or my instrument. If you make your art, if you make your instruments like easily accessible and in a place where it facilitates if we're going to use the same buzzword, a frictionless environment where you can just it's easy to pick up and play, it will make you want to play more.
Right.
It'll make you want to make more art. It'll make you want to get involved because it doesn't require that kind of that opportunity for you to want to procrastinate.
Well, if everything is chaotic,
right,
your brain is going to be chaotic. I get to work 30 minutes early.
Right.
I like to go in, have a cup of coffee, look at things, go into work, relax. There's people that show up at 1 minute before they're supposed to, flying through the door,
right, dropping stuff.
And their whole day is chaotic.
Right.
And it's kind of, if you just kind of manage your time.
Right.
I can't leave 15 minutes early.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Leave 15 minutes early. It'll help you.
Trust me. Yeah.
And it's like, maybe I'm neurotic about that. I don't care, but I like to get there. I relax.
Right.
Take a deep breath.
It's a good way to ease into it.
Yeah. You kind of get a feel of what the energy is of the place.
Right.
Even at our work, when I show, when we're working together, I'm there early, and I just sit there, I roll down the windows, and I just kind of get the feel of the campus where we are, and just, you get the energy.
Yeah.
Then you get out and you go do your business and go home safe, hopefully.
That's awesome.
So maybe convenience, and I like that frictionless.
Right.
What's something else that's kind of made your life frictionless?
The more I've been thinking about it, I mean, besides like the big one I was talking about with art and music, was equipment. Talking about your lawnmower, for me it was a better instrument. The same guy in the same conversation was making it accessible makes you want to play more. So you
enjoyed playing it more with the better instrument.
Well, and that's what he was saying. He was like, because I was talking about investing some very substantial money, and it's still sitting over there. It is my most expensive instrument in that big black case over there, and it is the one thing if this house was to burn down, I'm grabbing with me.
What about Mallory?
Well, that too. But I would.
Which
but
one
she's
would
gonna
come first.
She's actually gonna pick up the other guitar as well. So we're both. Okay, trust me, she's gonna be locked arm in arm. But we're gonna have guitars with us.
Okay, that's funny.
So anyways, I was talking about investing in a new instrument that had, and like I said, I was getting all the bells and whistles I really didn't need, but I wanted.
Yes.
Because I had like a free bass that was like kind of a hand-me-down that someone just gave to me, and it was very functional and very good for what it was. It was probably $300, $500 or whatever. So by no means a bad instrument, but it wasn't quite a great instrument.
Okay.
And so I was like, I want to get a great instrument because at the time I was making money playing. So I was like, okay, well, let me at least, if I'm presenting myself and I'm going to present a good sound as well, let me go ahead and just invest in this. And he was also saying in that same conversation, make it accessible, make it easy, but at the same time, if you have the equipment that makes it more fun and enjoyable to play and easier for you to get into that motion and that feel of it, is the same thing. It's going to make you want to play more. It's going to make you want to adventure more and try new things with it and kind of get outside of that comfort zone. And I feel like that is another interesting thing to think about, is like getting a new computer or phone, even you get a new phone, you get to try new things or do something interesting in it.
Do you get the latest and greatest phone, or do you hold on to it a little bit past you finish paying for it? Try to get the max out of it.
I have a way of life that I have adopted from a friend of mine, is I never get the first installment in technology or medicine. Is what they were saying. Right. Because they were like, let the technology go through its bugs, let the medicine go through its little tests, and then go ahead and get version 2.
Never buy the first year a new car comes out.
Right. Exactly. You're gonna get recalled.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Is that the thing? Same thing as they were saying. Is like just be patient, get version 2, and then of course So that's I'm usually pretty. I will try to find the phone or the computer or technology that I like, and I'm the kind of person that will kind of ride it until the end, really, unless there is something that I think is going to make it more convenient or easier to use, or my life a little more simple.
I like Samsung.
Yeah,
I do.
Yeah.
Okay, I have a Samsung phone. I have a Samsung TV.
I got a Google phone, so people make So
I have a Samsung Blu-ray player, and I remember when I went and bought my TV.
Right.
I needed a new TV, and there's certain features that I wanted.
Right.
But they didn't have them in the 5-inch bigger TV.
Okay.
So I went down 5 inches, and I got the TV that I wanted.
All right.
And a week later, my Blu-ray player went out.
Oh, no.
And so because of the features that I wanted on the TV, I get a Blu-ray player. Now, this TV, I didn't realize was 3D. It came with glasses.
Oh, wow.
There was extra stuff on it that I didn't realize. I was really excited.
Oh, of course.
It's
always nice to have more, newer, cooler features than you had.
Absolutely. So then I hooked up the Blu-ray player, and they clashed.
Oh, no.
And so if I'd have known the Blu-ray player had the features that I wanted, I'd have got the bigger TV in the first place.
Right.
So I kind of screwed myself on that one.
I mean, hey.
So I had to pick one of them and stop these features so that they didn't clash again.
Of course.
And I was like, man, you couldn't have broke a week earlier. Come on.
Come on, you got to help me out here.
And but when you have things like you said, when it works and you enjoy it, I'm a big movie person.
Right.
I really don't like TV, but I love movies.
So that's one of those things that having a really nice Blu-ray player is a more essential thing than probably most people.
And with the 3D capabilities, that's kind of fun.
Yeah.
And then you have the nice sound bar, and
I'm a sucker for
back in
sound.
the day of the big in your dad's house, and they were hanging the speakers in the corners, and the now you have the virtual surround sound, and that's the bar I have. It angles it to where it bounces off the walls and come back behind you, so it really is like a virtual surround sound.
Yeah.
And it sounds amazing.
Oh, of course. That's the same thing. I don't have a very nice TV. It was, again, hand me down from somebody. It's a very nice, bigger size TV. A bar was going out of business, and they were just, getting rid of everything. And I was working with the people that were running the sound and video stuff there. And so I got first grabs at just equipment and stuff.
That's
so
cool.
So I got a very nice TV. It's a little damaged in certain areas. You don't look too closely at it. It's not pretty, but it functions. But the big thing is the sound.
Right.
I went to Best Buy and splurged on a very nice sound bar, very similar to what you're talking about as well. It has this spatial feel, and it is. I think sound in a movie setting is so critical. I think sound in a lot of things.
There's a movie called Dances with Wolves. I don't know if you've ever seen it.
I've heard of it, but never seen it.
You need to see it, but you also need to see the director's cut.
Okay.
It adds 40 minutes to the movie, but it changes everything about the movie. I have it. I'll let you borrow it, and y'all can maybe do it on it, or even have me on it.
Right, yeah.
But there's a scene where Costner is bathing or doing something in the water, and the Indians show up, and he hears them down by his little pad that he's working on.
Right.
And he takes off running, and he jumps in another thing of water, and you can literally hear the water go right by you.
Wow, that's so
and
cool.
when you think about that, now that's what I want. I want to be able to hear,
right?
The
atmosphere.
We see a lot, but our other senses is what makes it real.
Yeah.
And sound and smell and those things.
As a person who does camera work for a living, and does a lot of video stuff, I've had some very wise and intelligent people that are better at what I do than I do. And the hypothetical they told me was, let's just say, for instance, you're watching a YouTube video and you got the most crystal, let's just say it's grainy footage, not very good, but like crystal clear audio, and you can hear everything, and it's probably a really cool experience, but it's not quite a very pleasing to look at. You'll probably watch it, or you'll probably stick around and like at least for a while. But I would wager if you have like crystal, I mean like beautiful 4K footage in the perfect frame rate, all of it, but like the audio is scratchy or like distorted or really wonked out, he's like, I guarantee you people are gonna click off.
It's funny you said that. I guess you're old enough to remember when we went from disc to CDs.
Yeah.
Okay. The early days.
Right. I may not have known the transition, but CDs were definitely a big part of my childhood, and cassette tapes were around.
Right. When they went from the warm, earthy, discs, the 45s and the 33s.
Right.
And you got the little cracks and pops. That was part of the sound. So when they digitized it and put it so cleanly on a CD, people didn't like it.
Yeah.
They didn't like it. It was too clean. It was too sterile. And so that's why I believe that the records are still here today, because people love that.
But I think it also, because it has a certain sound. And again, I think I think it still talks about the same point that I'm talking about as well. It's like I think that sound affects us in a way.
It does.
It just in a different way than I think visually it does. Not to discredit, like, again, visuals. Obviously, we're in an age.
No, and that's one. And you're talking about you do the photography and things like that.
Yeah.
Artwork. People that do photography and artwork. That movie we did an episode on that.
Right, yeah.
They transcend just a visual. They bring it to where maybe you remember something you don't recognize, brings a smell back to you, or brings a sound back to you, or brings an event in your life. Even though it's unrelated to what you're looking at, it moves you on the inside. Yeah. That's the talent.
Oh, dude. And then
that's the talent.
There's a couple of Instagram pages I've been stumbling across because they've been recommended to me. And they're like, it is this kind of like creepy, eerie, like nostalgic, kind of depiction of something. A lot of times it's not real. It's like it's like 3D animation, but it's like really well done. It looks real almost, but there's certain colors. There's these like kind of greenish lights over things, and it's this like usually like playgrounds where kids are at, and it has this very like late 90s or 90s kind of like aesthetic about it. And like I've been looking at that, and it's been like making me feel a certain way, right? Because it's like it does feel nostalgic, but it also feels off and kind of wrong in some way, and it's really cool and like really off-putting, and it's just a weird, I don't know. Well, we're kind of getting off topic here, but it's the same sort of thing. Like
we can go wherever we want.
Right. But it's just, like, I know what you're talking about. Like, again, is that with that there is some sound elements that they kind of add in there. These kind of like echoey, drips of water or something. That's kind of it just adds this certain atmosphere to things that I'm already looking at this and feeling unsettled, and then to also like hear something is like, oh, it feels like it's engaging me all around, and I'm like, oh, this makes my skin crawl almost in certain ways, but it's cool though.
Is there anything else that's come into your life that's either helped you do things better or faster or just more convenient? Because I want to tell you a story.
Okay. Oh, you go ahead.
Do you know what a TV dinner is?
Yeah, of course.
Back in the late 40s and early 50s, the TV dinner that had the tinfoil on it. So and you pulled the corner up and you stuck it in the oven, and 30 minutes later you had a dinner.
Right. I think I had frozen meals, and we called them TV dinners because my parents, I think, knew what they were.
Well, do you know where the early TV dinner came from? The Army.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
So the Army contracted this company, this guy, and they said, okay, we need meals for our soldiers that can last. We can freeze them.
Yeah.
And then we can, feed our soldiers.
Right.
And the war ended.
Wow.
So what is this guy going to do? Well, not necessarily surplus, but they have all of the infrastructure to make TV dinners.
I see.
So what he did was he got an ad company and targeted women. And said, we can make your life easier, better. Here's a TV dinner. Pull the tinfoil up, stick it in the oven, and feed your family.
Wow.
And so that was one of the early conveniences that I can kind of remember.
Wow, yeah, that is good.
Because now you shaved hours off of cooking, and, the food back then was probably a little bit better.
Yeah.
Than it is today, because now they just use MSG and try to get it to taste good.
Yeah.
But, that was one of the early conveniences that I remember.
Man, just thinking about that also reminded me of just kitchen equipment of all varieties of what is convenient stuff.
Yes.
Oh man,
blenders. Microwaves.
Exactly.
Now we have things like sous vides, which are amazing because microwaves really cool. Just really kind of tear the food up, but a sous vide cooks it.
Yeah.
And does it right.
Yeah. It's interesting. The big thing for me also, like you said, lawn care stuff.
Mm-hmm.
There is so much you can do with equipment. I just thought of something, and it just hit me. Is the innovation in battery-powered electronics.
Okay, yes.
Oh, my gosh, dude.
No more cords.
I have a battery-powered weed eater, and my dad just purchased, and I've been borrowing it, is a battery-powered chainsaw.
Mm-hmm.
And there's some big limbs. We had a hurricane not too long, almost about a year ago, whatever, and there's debris and stuff and tree limbs. Right. And I haven't been able to, a lot of them are really big. And I have a handsaw, and I was able to get some the nasty bits kind of taken care of. But he purchased this saw and this chainsaw, and I was like, dude, it is so simple. It again, obviously it's not running like a regular chainsaw does, but I can just and it's done. And I was like, oh man, this is fun.
Well, even in construction, that's helped out a lot. I love the Milwaukee M12 stuff.
Yeah,
exactly. You have the M12 and the M18, and
my dad's
a little bit bigger and
my dad's a DeWalt guy.
Is he really?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And so I have every component that they make for that M12.
Yeah. I have a whole stock of batteries, and I can just it's like loading a magazine and a gun. I'm just ready to go.
Yes, and I keep them all charged up. And, I'm working on my lawnmower the other day. It came in handy, and it was I like that convenience because more than anything in life, I hate cords.
Yes,
I hate cords. They frustrate me.
Right.
Because they never do what you want.
Of course.
And then I see you working, and you wrap the cord up, and then you twist it, and you wrap it up, and I go, how does he do that? And then you throw, and it goes poof, and it lays out in a straight line, and I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah.
One day you're going to teach me that.
It's so simple. There's a certain way that I wrap cables, and I do I do what I learned from stage, being a stagehand, and it's just one of those things you have to do, to keep it all nice and neat and together. It also keeps the cables alive longer. But I think they also do the same thing when they wrap hoses or they wrap certain things for construction things. It's just it's the over-under technique. It's real simple.
Right.
But the big thing is, the real fun part is if you're holding one end of it and you have your hand open for the other end, you can just throw it, and of course it just will uncoil.
I've seen you do it.
I've
seen you do it.
I know. I'm talking for the people that are watching, that are listening.
Yeah, sometimes I forget people actually listen to us.
Is that you basically wind like a spring. So whenever you throw it, it just kind of unsprings out. But anyway, so there are some
One day
things,
you're going to teach me that.
There are some things that I like to be battery powered, but there's a lot of things that I've realized I have to have it like hardwired in.
What's that?
A couple of things is for certain stuff like headphones, like having like a really direct connection a lot of times is really good. For me, like I really like a cabled mouse and keyboard.
Really?
Yeah. I just like having that of like not needing to worry about it. Like, like even the inconvenience of having like to change a battery, even if it's like a few months down the line, I'm just like, I would rather just like have it plugged in and it's totally fine. But yeah, there's
Well, I kind of used to game a little bit.
Right.
On my computer, not console, but I like the wired stuff for that.
Right.
I like the convenience at work of not having the wires.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't matter. I'm not in the middle of a game, and somebody's going to shoot me in the face,
right.
or the zombie's going to bite me if my mouse goes out.
Right.
But, for work and stuff like that, I kind of like the convenience of the wireless. But on my home computer,
I feel the same way. Like I have a wireless mouse and keyboard for work because I also like pack it up in a bag and bring it with me. So that kind of stuff is like, it's more convenient that way.
We have a docking station for our laptops, and we have 2 monitors, the laptop, which you can either leave open or closed, and then I bring them together.
Right.
But if an emergency happens, unhook one wire.
Yeah.
Roll with it. But, it's kind of, I got the little dongle already in the laptop, not in the docking station.
Yeah.
So if I leave, I just put my mouse and keyboard in the bag and roll.
Right.
So, yeah.
I'm also just sitting here thinking about it. This equipment that we're recording on, I've talked about this in the past, like, saving up my pennies for this and like, and really being excited that I bought this whenever I did. But this had made it easier. It made it so seamless to like edit the podcast.
Frictionless?
I mean, it's so frictionless to be able just to sit down.
Word for the day, boys and girls, is frictionless.
If you learn nothing else, that's what you learned today. But it is that the way we were doing it before, we were kind of huddled around one microphone.
Oh, wow.
Or, which is funny to hear my other co-host talk about that, how he's like, I forgot we even did that. And I was like, yeah, it was.
I remember the one time we had Hottie Doctor here.
Yeah.
And I had to share the mic and stuff. And it was,
exactly.
That's the way now we got the whole thing going.
And, we got all 4 of them.
Yep.
But regardless, like this whole setup, and I've kind of added some things that weren't here before, like the
extra monitor.
Exactly. And it got the capability of being able to display the same thing on the monitor so it looks nice and pretty. Like all this stuff here is like, it's been more making it more convenient and more easy to just sit down, turn it on, and then just record.
Right.
Because it was a little more set up from beforehand, and it was a little more getting tangled up.
And then once we get the round table, it'll be a little bit easier. And then we'll all have computers while we're talking, if we want to kind of research something, we can do that too. Right. That's going to be nice. I think that's kind of the next thing we're looking at. Yeah. So, because, we're going to get into some really cool subjects too.
Oh, yeah.
But again, that makes it more convenient.
Yes.
Part of what we're talking about now.
I'm going to go ahead and I haven't told you this yet. I just was thinking about talking about getting into some topics and stuff. Mallory had told me there is a lot of stuff going on with the whole Johnny Depp trial with him and his significant other.
Yes.
Or I don't know if they're divorced or not.
That's what they're working on.
Well, and that's what I thought. I wasn't sure if it was official yet or not. So, but it was one of the things that she was saying. You guys should talk about it. Or say something about it.
I think we should. Because once again, the liberal media has completely spun this. If you listen to them, he was the bad guy.
Yep.
But when you get into it, she was the bad person. She was abusing that man.
Yeah, I know.
So, that would be a cool topic.
Right. Like I said, we're just thinking about getting into some deep topics. And I remember she had mentioned it. And I was like, I remember hearing about it when
maybe that's one we could get Hottie Doctor and Mallory to do. Right. We could have them together. That's the one. We were talking about having them both on.
Yes.
Maybe that's the one.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. I'm trying to think of, is there anything else that you can think of in your life that has made it simpler? I'm trying to also expand the scope too. Like, what else has made your life, I guess, like better, like having it than not having it in some way?
Does it have to be a thing? Because it can be like a dog.
Oh yeah,
because dogs have increased civilization
Yeah.
Just by being part of, the human, just being part of our lives.
Right.
We couldn't get a full night's sleep until we had dogs.
Right.
We were always worried about getting eaten in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
But then you introduce dogs, and dogs now have that heightened sense of, protection.
Right.
So if something happened, they would start barking. So you could actually sleep a full night until they barked or didn't bark.
Yeah.
And just, herding sheep, herding cows, just bringing in a domesticated dog has really helped civilization.
You're right. I was thinking about for my own life, like I said before, we live in the South, and so hurricanes are a big deal for us a lot of times. And having one come through and knocking out a record number of electricity poles,
right,
and outages for many people for
weeks and months.
But I was fortunate enough that I was only gone for a couple days or something. But the thing that I was thinking about was having a gas stove.
Right.
Is that all I had to do was just like have a little candle lighter or cigarette lighter or whatever, and be able to just go tick tick tick, and then it was I want to say that the storm was coming through. We had no power, and I was cooking spaghetti. It's just, it's kind of just that. Just thinking about that, how it's like, even that's not even, I wouldn't even call that probably like a modern piece of technology, because the more modern ones are like those induction guys or whatever.
Oh, I love those.
Those are so super
awesome.
cool.
Oh my god!
But to be honest, I kind of like my little gas stove.
I love gas.
It's really
I'd rather
cool.
cook on gas than anything.
Okay.
Well, what about generators?
Exactly. Yeah.
How long have generators been around? But now every home in the South seems to have one, or will get one.
Or a lot of them now are like built in with the house, like they're like a separate thing on the outside or whatever. Yeah. I'm like, that's insane to think about as well.
What about LED lighting?
Oh, dude.
Has that helped us or hurt us?
I think it has. It helped me. I would say I splurged on getting Hue lights, Philips Hue lights. Okay. You can get some cheaper ones. I have some that are more expensive. People probably, when did I start buying those? I want to say it's been like 6 or 7 years. It's been a while. When I bought them, and they were pretty substantially more expensive than a regular light bulb was. Right. I remember friends and family would be like, "Why are you buying that? Like that's a bit excessive, huh?" And I was like, "I mean, maybe, but like, I can control it from my phone. I always know it's turned off. The amount of electricity that it requires is minimal, and if it's turned off, even with the light switch on, is pennies compared to a regular incandescent light bulb." And I was like, so I'm spending $40-$50 for a light bulb.
You may not have to replace for 10 or 15 years.
I swear to you, I still have light bulbs I haven't changed out that are, I think, in my room, and like a lamp in the corner.
Right.
I bought like the first 2 of them, and I want to say I still have them. And I'm like, I haven't changed that light bulb in years. I haven't had to.
Right.
And I was like, that's one purchase that I made. And I've never had to.
You get a regular light bulb, it's every 6 to 8, 10 months, and you're changing a light bulb.
Exactly.
So.
And then it depends on how frequently you use it. Because if it's in like your bedroom where you're like constantly on and off or whatever, like it could be, I don't know. But that's for me. Like, again, it has that paired with my smart thermostat, which I have like on a schedule where it'll shut off at certain intervals.
That's another convenience there.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And if we're talking about smart stuff, I have a smart lock. So that way I can, of course, make sure my door is always locked. Even if I forget or don't, I can be at the store and I'll be like, oh, I'd lock my door because I forgot.
Right.
It doesn't really happen. But again, I can though. Or again, better yet, a good example was I had a maintenance guy coming to fix something, and he was like, I don't have a key to the house, like, where are you? And I was like, hold on at the front door and I can let you in. And I just, on my phone right there while I had him on the phone, I unlocked the door for him, and he just let him in. He fixed it. And I was like,
that. I was at work one day, and somebody rang my Ring doorbell.
Right.
And we had a couple of people doing some stuff, and I was at work.
Right.
And so I said, "Can I help you?" Oh, yeah, I need to talk to you for a minute. I said, sir, I'm in the middle of cleaning my guns, and I have all over my fingers, and I don't want to touch the doorknob.
Right.
Okay. He turned around and walked off. I was at work. I wasn't even near the house.
Right.
But he was like, okay.
All right.
So that's another convenience right there. You know who's going and coming.
Right.
I like that.
To continue with what I was talking about with the lights and the thermostat, it has made our electricity bill like plummet.
Oh, absolutely.
It has made it so much better because I remember whenever my previous roommate and I lived here before he moved out, he had these these really nice like Edison type bulbs.
I love those. They're so fine.
Very pretty, but he had them and like in the bedroom, and he ran them like all the time. And so the room was always like kind of hot all the time, and it was a lot of electricity. And other aspects of the house. Whenever he was gone and I was like in charge of like, or I had my way with what I wanted to do, and I was like changing out all the things I could. Like, I promise you, our electricity bill dropped by like $100 or $200.
Oh, sure.
And I was like, this is insane.
And the neat thing about it is you can set it, you can program it to, 20 minutes before you get home, turn the air conditioner on. You don't have, before you were always doing that and you'd forget and leave the air conditioner on all day, or, 20 minutes, 10 minutes after you leave, you can have it programmed to turn off and keep it at this temperature.
Right.
And things like that. That's amazing. Just little things like that can help that,
I don't have this anymore, but whenever I lived in a different apartment, I had friends, and my roommate that I lived with thought it was funny and also, again, unnecessary, but I did it anyways, was I had my location services turned on, and I could set it to where the hallway, like the stairwell hallway light would turn on, and my bedroom light would turn on like to full blast when I'd come home from work.
Okay.
So a lot of times I would like be driving up and as I'm pulling in the driveway, the porch light could turn on, or the stairwell light could turn on, or whatever I had programmed.
That's cool. I never even thought about that. That's pretty neat.
And so for me, like having the whole house shut down a lot of times, the other guy I lived with worked late nights, and so me driving up and having my house turned on was kind of nice, especially if I had like equipment or had stuff and I was like carrying things inside. Instead of like trying to like find the light switch or whatever, or like I'm already having a hard time fumbling with the key to get the door unlocked.
That we could put that in the convenience section.
right. We could put this in the conversation of convenience.
Yes. No, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was really cool.
I never even thought about that.
Yeah. There's other stuff like that. Yeah. The more we sit here and talk about it, the more I can think about all kinds of different things that involve in that same chord story. Because I'm even thinking about things that I maybe don't have and haven't thought about. Like I'm thinking about my car. I don't currently have
GPS.
I don't have built-in GPS. I don't have a backup camera, and I don't have like a Bluetooth built in. It's like I have like just like an aux cable.
Now we both have Tahoes.
Yes.
Now I have a backup camera on mine because I put one in.
Oh, right.
And let me tell you, I love that thing.
But so for me, like that's again a convenience thing that I think is nice, but I just never. It doesn't come standard with mine, so I never thought to put one in.
Yeah.
But my first car I ever had was a 2001 Honda CR-V. I believe I've talked about this on the podcast before. It was called Old Faithful. It was a little white one. It was very nice, but the speakers were all like messed up in it. So after the first few months of me, and like I said, we're talking about 2001 here.
Right.
So I think it barely had a CD tray. I know for a fact it had a cassette deck though. So I was like, oh man. So it was like a really old radio. The speakers were all messed up, and I was like, you know what? I think my dad for my birthday bought speakers, and I bought like a 200 or something like Kentwood radio. And my dad and I one afternoon like gutted the whole thing out, put it all in there, and man, it was so cool to have a
music.
Well, yes, but the Kentwood radio had a Bluetooth functionality where I could just start my car up, and then whatever I was listening to would just seamlessly turn on. I don't have that anymore, but like, man, I could just have my phone in my pocket and start up and then just like crank up the same music that I was listening to before.
Oh, wow.
And it was so fun. And again, I had friends that would have way newer cars than I would. We're talking like 2009, 10, or even I think 12. None of them had Bluetooth in that capacity, so they would have like these nice, clean new cars, and they're still like fumbling around with cables and stuff. And I'm just like, come in the wagon, and I'm like, I'm just got this nice set of speakers.
What about GPS now?
Oh, dude,
GPS has been a game changer for everything in life.
I know people like and don't like certain maps apps. I like Google Maps a lot.
I like Waze.
You like Waze? Okay.
Yes. I like Waze because for a little period of time, I had the Samuel L. Jackson voiceover, cuss words and everything. Yeah. Turn left, motherfucker. I told you to turn.
That's so
my
good.
God, it was brilliant. Don't have it anymore. He only did it for a short period of time. Wow. But like Waze is really cool because you can communicate with people. Okay. And they can say there's a road up here, there's police up here, there's something in the road here.
Interesting.
But I did Google Maps for a long time.
Yeah, and
loved them.
For me, I currently have that, and the big thing for me is, even if I know where I'm going, sometimes I like to still put in the destination that I'm going, because I have noticed with the traffic and with my routes that I normally take, it is pretty accurate upon like my arrival time, if not maybe a few minutes ahead. Which is fine, because if I get there a little bit earlier, that's fine. So for me, like, that's the one thing.
I do the same thing.
Oh, yeah.
I do, especially around first morning or after work, because you don't know. It tells you the accidents ahead, and it reroutes you, and I love that
traffic lights and stuff. And so for me, like, there's been some times where I think I may be running late or maybe running early, but I don't quite know. And so just like to type in like, where's work? I got to be here by this time. I'm like, oh, you're going to show up probably 15 minutes early. I'm like, okay, cool. That's nice. And I love that kind of ease of mind. Yeah. So
GPS is awesome.
GPS is a really big one, especially because of the fact that it's in our phones. I remember that awkward time whenever like, Apple Maps and iPhones were like a really big thing, and people were using that as a GPS. And then like I had friends of mine that had like the suction cup window like GPS guys, and would use those for like a long period of time.
I remember an awkward time where you had to
a map,
put it on the dashboard, and your navigator had to help you.
No, left. No, trust me, it's right.
Well, I had one of those. I think it was Microsoft came out with Microsoft GPS, and you could put it on your laptop, and you put the little GPS thing on your dash.
Yeah,
and it was pretty accurate.
Really,
it was really nice. It's kind of outdated now, but, like you said, it's on our phones now.
Right.
You got different kind of versions of whatever you want. Somebody, you'll make somebody happy with it.
Right.
But,
I was recently in Virginia for that conference I was talking about, and like we decided to go like to a very, I forgot what the road was, but it's like a part downtown.
Right.
So it's like you got different places to walk. You have different shops and restaurants and all that kind of cool stuff. And we were like, there was one of us that had our phone, and we're like, okay, so like we want to go to this burger joint or whatever, this pub or something. And we had like a little path to get there, and it was the same sort of thing where it was like that kind of stuff where it's like I don't want to say, I was going to say foreign, but
At least you don't look like a complete tourist with a big old map hanging up in the street light going, okay, where are we going?
Well, that's the thing is I'm in a place where I have no idea where I am, but yet I can get somewhere and not be, completely lost, which is really cool.
Yeah. That's I love GPS.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And like you said, just being routed around the traffic and the lights.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. We didn't have that back in my day.
Right. Another thing that I haven't used a lot recently, but there was a point in time where I had my Google Assistant set up, and it was very nice to have certain things automated. like reminders that would like chime at a certain time, or one feature that I didn't have that my brother did was screening phone calls on the Google like Pixel phones. A lot of times, if it is a number that you don't recognize, you can have your Google Assistant screen the phone call and basically almost answer for you, and then tell the person that they're in, like, hey, this person is indisposed currently. Please leave your name and like a brief description as to like why you're calling, and like in a certain way, and it's all happening in real time. And the cool thing is that as it's happening, the phone app that it's a part of.
Don't tell me it does voice to text.
It does.
It does. Are you serious?
And so it shows your assistant's response to them, and it says like, oh, my name is such and such, and I was calling to see whatever. And of course, a lot of times, and if you wanted to, you could actually like tell them to like to say a certain thing, like, okay, well, he'll get back to you as soon as he can, or something like that. And he had that feature.
I'm so setting that up.
And then one of the things, the big thing is that if it was a spam call detected, a lot of times you can have the Google Assistant screen it, and a lot of times it'll call it out, and you can actually tell them like, remove me from this list. Digitally.
Automatically.
And I was like, dude, it was really cool. Talk about convenience. But again, the same sort of thing.
Well, in the same vein of this, how about the do not disturb list? So mine happens at 5:30 every day. And if you're not on my do not disturb list, you're not getting through.
Right.
Yeah. So it shuts off.
That's crazy.
You're on it actually.
Really?
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
The people that are important to me can get through.
Course. Right.
So I have a little list. Right. And it, it helps.
Of course.
It keeps the calls down to a minimum. When I'm trying to spend time with Hottie Doctor and Magnus and stuff. It keeps the calls to a minimum.
That's very nice.
Yeah.
How nice.
But tell me, that's not a convenience.
Yeah, you're right. I mean that, and then for me, one thing that I do in my daily life is I use my Gmail for a lot of stuff, which automatically has like the whole Google suite of things. So like my Drive, the even like my contacts and my calendar, it's all synchronized up. I have like a notes app that's all integrated into it. So and this is a real big step. Mallory and I just like synced up calendars.
Oh my!
So I can like, I'm being facetious, but like, I mean, but like, no, I have a function now where it's like I have like a family function where it's like I can, if I'm gonna like create an event, it's also gonna show up on her calendar as well. So it's like an important thing that we're both gonna go to, or that I'm gonna be out for, I can put on the calendar. And so if she's looking around, she's like, oh, what is this? And it's like, oh, hey, by the way, like I'm gonna be tied up. And so, but like all that is tied in with like my notes, my all that stuff.
Yeah, I use Gmail a lot. My primary is Gmail, and then I have a Hotmail,
right? And
then I have a Yahoo, and my Gmail I give to nobody.
Yeah,
I mean nobody. I'm talking about, when you sign up for stuff,
right?
I use one of the other ones.
Yes.
Okay, I don't use my Gmail. My Gmail is primarily my main email for real communication. Yeah. I don't want somebody to sell that one.
Of course.
And then I get 1,000 emails in a month. So I use the other ones for that.
Yeah.
And it depends on what it is. So I know who also sells my emails too.
Exactly.
So.
That's interesting. Yeah. And I know I'm probably putting myself at a disadvantage, like having all my eggs in one basket. I do diversify a little bit, but the big thing is it's just so nice to pull out my computer and then just have all of it. And then, of course, if I need to, close the laptop. And I've done this before. Go out to lunch, something happens, or again, I'm at something else. I get a text or a phone call, and I can just access it on my phone, and it all is seamlessly together. Yep. I love that.
Well, it's on my phone, my pad, my computer, everything. Right. So I like that too.
That's very nice. Well, we've been going for about, almost an hour.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. This is a good conversation.
I liked this one. This is a lot of fun. Is there anything else you want to add before?
No, that was fun.
That was really nice.
I think we're gonna have a guest next week.
Yes.
So,
we definitely have a couple besides the Johnny Depp trial. We definitely have a couple of other, I think, really good topics that I think are going to be really interesting, and I'm excited to have a conversation about.
Yeah, me too.
So be looking forward to it. But anyways, if you're looking for us, you can type in Retrospect Pod on Facebook, and you can obviously contact us that way. Or you can type in Retrospect Pod at Linktree, and you can find all of our links there. Or you can just type in Retrospect on all the major podcasting platforms, and you should be able to find us that way. Make sure to give us a 5-star review if you can. Give us a little thumbs up, means a lot, goes a long way. But anyways, until next time, thank you so much for listening. Bye-bye.
Peace.